Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as announced earlier, I have now the pleasure to give the floor to His Excellency, Mr. Boris Johnson, Secretary of State for Foreign and Commonwealth Affairs of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I want to begin on behalf of the United Kingdom by thanking High Commissioner Zaid for his service and for his tireless work in speaking up for human rights around the world. And I'm absolutely delighted to be here this morning because, at its best, this Council has shone a spotlight on appalling violations of human rights in specific countries, as we have just heard. And it has given a voice to people who would otherwise have suffered in silence. And Britain considers this Council to be part of the rules-based international system in which we believe and which we strive to protect. I will say only that we share the view that a dedicated agenda item focused solely on Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories is disproportionate and damaging to the cause of peace. And unless things change, we shall move next year to vote against all resolutions introduced under item 7. But I stress that that does not mean we in the UK are blind to the value of this Council, including the work it could do on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict under the right agenda item. And we support its emphasis on freedom of religion and expression and the empowerment of women, which brings me to my main point, because after flying around the world for 2 years as UK Foreign Secretary, I have concluded that we could solve the majority of the world's most serious problems, from infant mortality to unemployment to civil war to unsustainable population growth and loss of habitat. Indeed, we could achieve virtually every sustainable development goal if only we could provide every girl in the world with at least 12 years of quality education. It is a global disgrace that at this moment there are 130 million girls who are not in the classroom. Female illiteracy in some countries is running at 60, 70, even 80%, and there are bigoted fanatics who actually fight to stop girls from going to school. A group of numbskulls called Boko Haram who raid schools, abduct children, inflict any atrocity in order to deny girls an education. As recently as February, Boko Haram kidnapped 110 girls from a school in Dapchi, and we all remember how 276 were taken from Chibok in 2014. When I visited Borno State last year, I met girls who had been told they would be shot if they dared learn to read, as the Taliban shot Malala. And I am lost in admiration for those who press on with their studies in defiance of these threats, and for teachers who are brave enough to help. But the problem is global. Today, almost 800 million adults across the world cannot read or write, and 2/3 of them are women. Think of the wasted talent, the appalling opportunity cost to humanity. But just imagine what we could achieve if we turned this upside down and ensured that every girl went to school and received the education she deserves. If all girls went to secondary school, then infant mortality would be cut in half, saving 3 million young lives a year. About 12 million children would not have their growth stunted by malnutrition. The future wages of girls would rise by 12% for every extra year in the classroom. And with that prosperity, you create jobs, and therefore you strike a blow against the Boko Harams and the maladjusted chauvinist fanatics who overwhelmingly come from countries where women are undereducated. And the conclusion is obvious. educating our daughters with the same care that we educate our sons is the single and most powerful spur to development and progress, which is why this year the British government has devoted an extra £500 million to the cause of female education. We are helping another 1.4 million girls in 15 countries to receive a minimum of 12 years of quality education. When we welcomed the representatives of 52 countries to London for the Commonwealth Summit in April, all of them endorsed that target. And I should say, by the way, in case you don't know, Britain is one of a handful of countries that has a female head of government, a female head of state, and a female head of the judiciary. And I have today joined my friend Amina Mohammed, the Kenyan Cabinet Secretary, to form a platform for girls' education, a group of 12 influential people drawn from across the Commonwealth who will keep up the momentum. But resources and political will are not the only constraints. Even when schools and teachers are available, girls may still miss out. If physical or sexual violence are commonplace, if dormitories are unsafe, if sanitary facilities are inadequate, then girls will be deterred from entering the classroom. If they are married at an early age, this may deprive them of the chance to go to school. And the reality is that 1 girl in every 12 in the developing world is married before the age of 15. Today, there are about 700 million women who are married in childhood. And if the prevalence of child marriage remains unchanged, then that number will rise to nearly 1.2 billion by 2050. All of these problems, including the prejudice and sexism that holds women back, will need to be addressed if we are to achieve the goal of universal female education. I would respectfully appeal to every member of this Council to do whatever is necessary to eliminate child marriage, whether by passing new laws or enforcing existing ones. And I would urge every country here today to sign the Joint Statement of Principles on Girls' Education and support resolutions during this session that condemn female genital mutilation and violence and discrimination against women. And we should remember that mere attendance at school is not enough. We have to ensure that girls actually learn when they get there, which means that teachers need to be properly trained and opportunities improved for the most disadvantaged, including disabled girls. But all these measurable and material benefits of which I have spoken cannot be the sole or even the primary reason why we must ensure that all girls go to school. It's not just that this ambition will make us more prosperous and expand our GDPs, though it will do all that and more. I am here to appeal to all the men in suits who are so amply represented, not just here, but in positions of power around the world. There are quite a few, to do what is right. We can build the schools and train the teachers and surmount all the other barriers. In the end, it is only a question of priorities and of will. This is the one cause that attracts no sensible dissenting voice, because there is no reason, no sensible reason, to question the benefits or morality of what needs to be done. So, Mr. President, may I say, for the sake of our common prosperity, for the sake of our common environment, for the sake of peace, for economic progress, but above all, in the name of simple justice and fairness, let us give every girl in the world 12 years of quality education. Thank you very much for your attention this morning.
I thank Your Excellency, and now I have the honor of giving the floor to His Excellency Mr. Hassan Al-Tawadi, Secretary General of the Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy of Qatar. Excellency, you have the floor.
President of the Human Rights Council, High Commissioner, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I address you this morning in my role as Secretary General of the Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy, the organization in charge of coordinating the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar, the first to be held in the Middle East. My sincerest thanks and gratitude, Mr. President, for providing me this special opportunity to address the 38th session of the Human Rights Council. And please allow me to share a few words on the tenure of the High Commissioner. His Excellency has played an important and valuable role in working with my country as we embark on our journey towards reforms and progress on matters relating to human rights. With his encouragement, support, and understanding of the importance of a multifaceted approach to human rights, including through sports and sports diplomacy, we have made significant strides in the last few years. He has worked tirelessly to represent the world's commitment to the universal ideas of human dignity, proceeding with independence, integrity, and steadfastly committing to uphold the universal declarations of human rights. Ladies and gentlemen, human progress has truly transformed our world into a global village. And thanks to rapid advancement in technology and communication, cross-cultural interaction has never been easier. The world is at our fingertips. And yet our world is speedily rushing towards a breaking point, straining the ties that bind us and threatening to tear us apart as an international community. Ideological divides are splitting nations. Friendships and relationships that have previously stretched across borders and continents are at risk. At times, it feels as if we are on the precipice. However, in spite of the momentum behind the trend of division and dispute, unifying platforms do exist and can unite us. It is our responsibility to ensure that we take advantage of these platforms that celebrate humanity, that bind us together and break down the barriers that are increasingly wedged between us as citizens of the world. It is incumbent upon us to ensure that these sparks of light touch upon the people of this planet in the most meaningful way possible. Now, music, art, cinema, and literature, they all serve this purpose. However, sports, and in particular football, is a profound, impactful, and global platform that touches the human spirit regardless of location, beliefs, culture, or politics. At the grassroots level, children kicking a makeshift ball around with their friends using sweatshirts or rocks for goalposts. The collective hopes and dreams of fans in the stadium supporting their club or country. World leaders and dignitaries on the edge of their seats watching their nations and athletes at the World Cup or the Olympic Games. Sports transcends society. It teaches us honesty, it teaches us integrity, humility, overcoming adversity, and above all, and perhaps most importantly in this day and age, sportsmanship and a respect for your opponent. Now, the power of sporting diplomacy was demonstrated earlier this year at the Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang, when the Republic of Korea and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea marched together under a unified Korea flag. Through sport, deeply entrenched divisions were cast aside and the Korean Peninsula united to cheer on their athletes. The Olympic torch created a spark of light. And we are 4 days into the FIFA World Cup in Russia, where citizens from all over the world have flown in to support their countries. Fans are connecting with their counterparts from across the globe, discovering and appreciating cultures different to their own. Now, what other event would bring thousands of Swedes and Koreans together in Nizhny Novgorod today? What other event would inspire thousands of Tunisians and English to converge in Volgograd tonight? Now, I firmly believe that these visitors and the Russian hosts will bond and they will retain memories lasting a lifetime. Prejudice and assumptions will be shattered. Friendships will be born, and all through the common language of football. Now, what other vehicle, other than sports and events such as the Olympics and the World Cup, can hold such transformative power to break down divisions and build bridges between people? Now, I know some observers may dismiss this as idealism and consider that these moments are fleeting. But that is where our responsibility comes in. It is up to us to aim high and harness these moments into lasting legacies that better our world. That was our inspiration for bidding to host, tapping into the spirit of the World Cup, an event that truly unites every strand of humanity like no other. We are working very hard every day to ensure that that promise, that spirit,